everyone. Welcome to another episode of 302 of A Kind. We are Kevin Indig and
one and only Marcus Tandler.
thanks so much, man.
You need a better radio voice.
And it's been a great week. There's quite some stuff happening again. Who would have thought? And so great you're here with us today to talk about what has happened. Right on.
Same for you, man.
How was your week?
Man, busy week. I feel like the year has really picked up. Everybody back from vacation and up and going, but it's fun. I know we're going to talk about a lot of or not a lot, but like some things that happened for the first time. I'm not going to give it away, but some firsts in here, some continuations. And I don't know, man, are you also heads down in AI all the time now? I feel like the whole week I was just in Claude Code and Google Anti-Gravity, and I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just told this to someone yesterday that I'm doing something completely different than what I'm doing the year before. And I mean, throughout my career, this has been basically a common theme. Obviously, as an affiliate marketer, you always jump to the next opportunity. And I also had these moments where it was like, okay, like how I made 90% of my money is completely different than from how I made my money last year. But as an SEO, I was for a very long time very much involved, obviously, into the crawling aspect, technical SEO side of things, and obviously also GSC data, which I just love digging through. And this was like one of my big, differentiators. Having very much experience in Google Search Console, like seeing patterns I've seen through hundreds of different other sites and stuff like this. And all of a sudden, I'm doing something completely different. I'm only in AIO right now. Obviously, working the most with our awesome SEMrush AIO toolkit within SEMrush Enterprise, and because this is just what the customers want right now. Every customer is just AIO. What do we need to do? Where are we? Where are we going? What's going on? What can we do? And I really got to say, I love it. I love it because right now this is the hardest stuff. And I'm right there with great customers, great teams, and we're doing some incredible things. And so I love it that I just gained so much experience right now in this very fresh field, but I think nobody really has a best practice yet. So I think really the experience is really key.
Yeah, and I've also never used as much technical stuff in my whole career. I mean, to your point, right? Like I also come from a technical background. And these days, I'm basically, I'm spending more time in my terminal than I have ever before. I've made more GitHub commits and pull requests than in my whole life combined. It's insane, man. Like
I feel the white coder then, I guess.
Dude, seriously, man. Like I'm completely in it. And the stuff works. It's so good, it's good when it understands my instructions. Then it's getting really, really good.
Awesome.
And still makes mistakes, but man, I feel like 2026 is just going to go into the history books as another pivot. I feel like 2022, maybe 23, right? That was ChatGPT, and everybody was like, "Oh wow, okay, that looks cool." And now, I think this year is just going to be the year where everybody can become at least developer intern, maybe a junior developer, maybe. We'll see. But you saw how many dollars were wiped out on the stock market. I think that just goes to show how crazy this is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just amazing how you can just go about, just wipe coding a tool, not just doing like a specific process, but already automating it like super easy. And within just like half an hour, you can like whip up something pretty cool, which is never seen before. What a time to be alive. So right now, this is like the most fun time ever. And just AI is just so helpful in a lot of these business contexts. Also, yes, but let's talk about what happened this week, because there's quite a lot of stuff. And as you said, there's also a first in there because there's a new type of update we've never seen before. The Google February 2026 Discover Core update Have you ever heard of a Discover Core update?
No. It's an interesting word choice.
Yes, absolutely. What do you make out of it? Because I think the funniest thing is a lot of our friends are right now with our good friend John Shahada in Dubai for the Visi Summit, I think what it's called. So, John Shahada does these awesome conferences on news SEO, Discover. We also did one together in Munich, which was a lot of fun. And he did his first event in Dubai. I had so much FOMO. It's so much FOMO. Like everybody, like showing the pictures, and in our group, there were pictures going around, and I'm like, oh my God, everybody's there, I'm not there. I hated it. Again, I had so much customer work. There's just no chance to go to Dubai. Big FOMO. But I mean, this is where everyone, or maybe like 70% of Discover traffic, I think, was in Dubai, right? at John's Summit. And then this drops, I think, right after, right? I think it was just finished up, and boom, the big bomb drop. Do you think that's coincidence?
I thought about this too, man. I know that these updates take a while to develop and to plan, right? So it's not just hitting a button. But Visi Summit was also announced for a while. So I don't know, man. I feel like, there's like a little bit of a weirdness where in the past, Google Core updates or spam updates have always come out shortly before certain conferences.
Dude, PubCon, almost
exactly.
It was like really like PubCon, boom, update drop. Yeah, I remember.
Exactly. So it's, I wouldn't rule it out. Why not? Like if you want some attention and if you want people's heads turning, why not? But at the same time, why would Google benefit from it? So I'm torn. I think it's possible, but not probable. But it's a really interesting update. It's a very interesting update because Discover is more of a TikTok-like experience, right? Mm-hmm. It's different than search.
Recommender system. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's a recommender system on steroids with fewer parameters because you have fewer options, right? Especially on mobile. On search, you still have a lot of options, right? There's so many things that people can do. Discover it's a little less. And so you would argue that it's easier to optimize for a surface like Discover than for Google search. But yet we haven't really seen any core updates or any big updates, a few maybe, but not big updates for Discover so far. But look at what happens now. So in the announcement, Google says that they're showing more locally relevant content, less clickbait and sensationalist. I hope they figure this out. Let's see. But they also show more original and timely content, right? So more local, more fresh stuff, less clickbaity stuff, right? So, and the question is, why couldn't they do that before? And I think it's because of AI. I think that they have probably deployed AI systems that are able to much better recognize these three factors: clickbaiting, local intent, and freshness intent, or local deserves local results and deserves fresh results, right? So I think it's an AI thing. That's why I'm less surprised to see it. But I hope it's good news for publishers, man. I think if one part of the web needs more love, it's publishers.
Dude, I totally second that. As a great insights here. I think the showing more users locally relevant content goes back to this. You saw a lot of Times of India, like Indian newspaper kind of things ruling in the US all of a sudden. I think they saw this. And as you said, AI could really be a big case, especially, reducing sensational content, clickbait, and Discover, because on the one hand, a clickbait, sends very positive signals, right? Somebody sees the content, clicks immediately, right? But where do you really cut the line? It's like it goes there, but jumps right back. But that doesn't really. I mean, right? Also, I think it's very hard to really get rid of clickbait. I mean, like the super clickbait, right? Also see XYZ naked or whatever. That's easy, but you can still make also legit topics very clickbaity, and it doesn't really basically say that the article is shit, that it's not good. It's just a clickbaity title. What would you do if you were the product manager here? and you're responsible at the core update. Sorry for the question.
No, it's a good question.
And you're okay, Gavin. You got to tackle, clickbait. How would you go about doing this?
Yeah, exactly. This is a fantastic question, because this is a great point. When is clickbait, right? If you click on an article that you didn't plan to click on and it's interesting, then is it really clickbait, or is it just an engaging headline, right? So that's exactly the point. And I think it's clickbait when the headline promises something the article cannot keep. Right. So my favorite examples are always when, you're sitting in a movie theater, you just finished an amazing movie, and you have a question of like, when is the next one coming out or something like that. And then you find these articles that are saying, here's when the next movie comes out. And they talk about the movie that you just saw, and there's nothing, there's no mention of the next movie. So they just lure you in knowing that people are searching for that, but they don't actually answer the question. And so I hope that Google can better understand the semantic relevance between all the paragraphs and sentences in a content and how they relate to the headline. So when you say, when does X come out, then there should be a definitive statement saying X comes out then. And if that doesn't occur, likely clickbait. So better check with user signals if people are, scrolling wildly and then leaving, or if they're staying somewhere and they're not searching more, right? So I think Google has all the ingredients. But the question is it feasible to use all that computational power that's needed to do this analysis at scale?
By the way, okay, I didn't plan this, but small tangent. Actually, what I see right now all the time, I think there's now this new concept of like video clickbait. So you will have like some sensationalist video or something like, oh my God, nobody thought this was happening, and it's caught on video. And then you like watch the video and you wait for something. Okay, now where is it? Where is it? And then it's like, oh yeah, check the first comment, right? And it's, oh, there's nothing, there's nothing. You just watch the video, which is high engagement, right? You just watch the video. And now it's like in the comment, but there is nothing. It's just like sensational. You also just want to click. I mean, like, I'm not very perceptive to these kind of things because I really don't watch video on my mobile or stuff like this. But I saw this so often now and then, and I think this is like the video equivalent of clickbait, something like this. It is, right? I mean, it's so crazy, right? It's always like,
I hate it. I hate it. It's like, don't make me think, make my life easy, and you gain my trust, right? Make my life hard and waste my time. Trust goes out the window. So, but look, at the same time, man, I don't want to excuse it, but I understand where the behavior is coming from, because people are grabbing for straws, right? They're trying to, especially publishers like the the Washington Post just laid off a bunch of people this week. So they're all struggling, and clicks are not necessarily growing from Google.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think we can jump to the next topic, but first let's welcome Hans. Good morning, Hans. Great you're here. Hans helped me again with a customer workshop this week, and it was just sensational. Thank you so much, Hans. As he's just the best. I really got to say
go Hans.
Yeah, go Hans. Hans, because I didn't tell you yet, I wanted to write you an email. Sorry, I was like so busy, but it was awesome. Thank you so much again. Sorry, public service announcement for Hans.
That's good. Hans, cool. Deserved.
All right. Okay, and then we also had the earnings call from Google, and there's quite a couple of things that Sundar Pichai said I just want to throw at you real quick. So obviously they had a great quarter again. This is actually as a really once in a lifetime really quarter they had here again. Super crazy. As this is just, the numbers are just like, holy shit. But let's just look at the numbers. I mean, obviously this is always going to be a good business here, but so Pichai said we shipped over 250 product launches within AI mode and AI overviews just last quarter. That's amazing. In one quarter, shipping 250 product launches. I mean, like, most of the stuff is like really putting Gemini, front and center, wherever. But nevertheless, it's 250 product launches in a quarter. It's pretty insane, I would say. Quite the speed. And here now he says, like, transition from AI overviews to a conversation in AI mode is completely seamless. Yeah, we all saw that. Yeah, we talked about it last week, right? I mean, like, if you have a follow-up question in AI, in Google overviews, it will jump directly into AI mode, really putting SEOs on edge. Again, we ranted about it last week, but you can also formulate it like this. It sounds much better. And search saw more usage in Q4 than ever before as AI continues to drive an expansionary moment. And this is crazy, right? Also, he's like really saying we're getting more and more searches, although we're like pushing people in the AI mode. It actually helps us. So many people have like follow-up questions, which are longer and longer. And so he calls this the expansionary moment because he said once people start using these experience, they use it more and more and more and more. Here, queries in AI mode are 3 times longer than traditional searches. Yeah, also it really seems to work right now, right? Also it really looks like, I mean, besides all the PR, it really seems to work. People love the product, use it more and more. Do you buy all of this?
Yes and no. I buy some of it, right? I think it's clear that AI is a better search experience, right? It's a better experience that you get better answers. It's clear that Google is not making less money because of showing AI results or because of ChatGPT. What's less clear to me is, where Google shows AI and where they make their money. So one area that we don't talk about a lot is e-commerce, right? E-commerce is obviously pretty important for Google's revenue. Not a lot of AI there, right? Especially when it comes to the more shopping intent you have in your query or keyword, the less AI Google tends to show for now. So that's interesting. And then the other thing, again, is that we recently saw AI overviews actually reduce a little bit. Now, if you look at the graphs, right, if you look at how many keywords show AI overviews, it's not a straight line. This goes up and down, right? So I haven't done the analysis, but I wonder, would it maybe go down just before the quarter ends so people spend more money? Or, like there's obviously more nuance here. And look, like, I think Sundar Pichai is saying what he should say as a CEO. I think it's impressive how Google has turned around compared to 3 years ago. You have to say it, right? 250 product launches is stunning. And some of these launches are amazing, right? I love what Google is doing right now as a user. As an SEO, I don't love it that much, especially when you compare it, for example, AI overviews or AI mode to something like Yahoo's new answer engine. So I'll leave it at that.
Right on. And you just touched upon that. One of the important things is actually the monetization. There's an interesting tidbit in here. I mean, like really, the advertising revenue, holy shit. I mean, like 63.07 billion. And we're just talking
about one quarter.
This is so crazy. But they're also testing AI monetization. And there's actually the chief business officer, Philipp Schindler, a German. Yay. If you, again, I can also want to say watch Media Donis at PopCon 2006. So there's a video from 20 years ago when I was at PopCon Las Vegas, and there's a scene where Philipp Schindler, where Bob Rains in a car, and Philipp Schindler is sitting on the passenger seat, on the passenger seat. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm just saying, it's like 20-year-old video. Philipp Schindler was right there. Crazy. I love
There's a movie, the movie from 2006.
Yeah, the movie's from 2006, yeah. Media Donis at PopCon. There's the late Bill Slasky in there. So many, I mean, like a 20-year younger Ren Fishkin and everything. So yeah, check it out. It's so fun. So Philipp Schindler actually says they are in the early stages of experimenting with AI mode monetization, like testing ads below the AI response with more underway. Okay, that's pretty forward. But we announced direct offers, a new Google Ads pilot, which will allow advertisers to show exclusive offers for shoppers who are ready to buy directly in AI mode. And this is crazy. When I read this, it's like, oh, so you're in a conversation and basically the agent like realizes, okay, this person is ready to buy, right? It's just like comparing products, it's comparing prices and stuff like this. It's like it like really narrowed in on a specific product, maybe in a new Samsung phone or whatever. And now it's basically maybe like sending a real-time bidding request. You know, who has Samsung phones right now? Who has it, right? Who can ship to a US customer? And then it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this potential customer. Boom, sell them this the phone. I think this is super, super smart. And here we are not like, this is beyond CPM, beyond CPC. This is really like qualified buyer. I've pre-qualified a buyer for you. How much worth is that to you? And the one guy says, okay, I'm going to sell the phone and I pay you 40 for it. The other one, I'm selling the phone and I pay you $50 basically in commission for it. And then it's going to be like, yeah, who wants to sell one of the phones and how much are you willing to give? I think this is also for Google, obviously a great thing, although we all know this really only works in the e-commerce space. And
yeah. You know, in B2B, you would say you know the Google went from CPC to CPL, cost per lead, right? And it makes perfect sense. And I think that's where a lot of this is going to go. And it's the same with clicks. It's the exact same with clicks, right? All the noisy, untargeted, unintended searches, they're all going nowhere. They're answered right on the spot. But as soon as something becomes more targeted, right? As soon as people are comparing or voicing a purchase intent, then it's much more likely for you to get a click. And those clicks obviously much, much less than all the, what you would say, like top of the funnel, early user journey type of searches. So I think this monetization model from Google foreshadows, or basically reflects, better said, what we're already seeing with clicks and impressions.
Crazy. And whoever now says, wait, but I heard it, they're not monetizing that so well. Most of the people go into AI mode. How do they make so much money? My great employer, SEMrush, has a great study out. Service with ads on AI overviews grew by almost 400% in 2025. And I wasn't actually aware of this. Also not to that extent, as I was like, really, I saw that like probably a lot of you just like a couple of days ago. And I was like, what? I didn't even see that. And look at that graph, like really from like 5% kind of monetization to boom, every fourth search is now plastered with ads. And this is really crazy. And I mean, like, you can really see this when they started doing this. And this, like, really, you can see someone made a decision here, right? As this was a decision. Yeah. As it was always like, yeah, we're testing a little bit, top of the SERPs, middle of the SERPs, bottom of the SERPs. Bottom of the SERPs seems to go well. But at that point, somebody made a decision and said, let's crank it up, guys. And boom. It like really, it's so weird that like, did they see, okay, top of SERPs is not good, doesn't work so well. I mean, like, I can totally see that as in an AI overview kind of setting. I can see that people are, you know, maybe not like the top of the SERP ad, but I mean, like, obviously bottom of the SERP, almost like a no-brainer, right? I just put it there. I mean, like, what's left? Organic results? Nobody's going to organic results, so whatever, right? I love it. But this is crazy. As I wasn't aware of this. I haven't seen this. I saw this, and I was like, oh my God, you can really see somebody made a decision, and it turned out quite well. Yeah, 63 billion in revenue. So yeah, it can't be that bad. Oh, by the way, this is also a great graph because you see this across the board, but obviously most of it commercial, transactional. You know, this is really where it's happening, and obviously where you also probably have the biggest inventory if you want to monetize it. What did you think when you saw this study here from SEMrush?
Yeah. Do you know, Marcus, if the middle of the SERP, is that defined as right under the AI overview, or are there still organic results above it?
That's actually a good. So
I'd be curious, if maybe if these ads are showing up right under the AI overview, or if
this
there's
is
still
probably
some
middle. Yeah, I think I even understood it the wrong way. Yeah, this is, I think, the middle. Right?
maybe I'm not sure, to be honest, but either way, I think the findings, first of all, are great, because you can really tell that this is, as you said, is a decision, right? What does it go from, like 5 percentage points to 25? So it's like a 5x increase. Crazy. Or 400, as the title said. The other thing is, top of the SERPs also has grown, right? So long story short, Google is just simply showing a lot more ads, and it makes sense, because where else is the money coming from?
Yeah.
Google, there's just one way. Google shows more ads.
Yeah.
I don't think they can show better ads necessarily.
More expensive ads.
Yeah, sure. Of course, that's yes, that is also happening. I'm pretty sure. I would love to see the CPCs. Sometimes I do an analysis, and I think at a conference last year, or several conferences, I was showing how the CPCs are climbing every year, right? In some cases, they drop. It's not 100% of keywords that are growing, but a lot of them are growing in CPCs year over year, which, it's a bidding system at the end of the day, but well, we can get lost in a conversation here about how much power Google has to influence prices they have in the past. So anyway, long story short, right? I think that it still doesn't mean that Google is not improving its product with AI, but they're not forgetting about the money here at all. This is where it comes from.
Yeah.
It's more ads. It's higher CPCs. That's not an accident. It's not that people love AI mode and they click more on ads to Google search. That is not how it goes.
That's not how any of this works. Yeah. I want to ask a question. Definer brands, hey, Definer brands, great, you're stopping by. Are users investing in more ads because no one is sure about how to appear in Google AI overviews for sure? So you're saying that, okay, now I lost all my SEO traffic, my organic traffic, and now I buy more traffic? Do you think that's happening?
I love that thinking, right? It makes a lot of sense. I think it's happening in some cases, but the companies that I work with are more so reducing their ad budgets across the board, because of economic challenges, right? And other reasons. Another really important thing here is, that I would love as maybe a follow-up study or so, is the difference between branded and non-branded searches, right? Google is heavily monetizing on branded searches. And if you're a brand like OpenAI or Anthropic, I don't want to know how much money you pay just to defend your own brand. It's at least a couple million every month, at least. Funded by investors.
One of the best plays ever from Google. I mean,
sure.
So they basically have to buy your brand. I know this the big debate, with eBay. They were testing a lot of things, but we all know like where conversions really come from, and most of it is from the brand. So you want to defend your brand because this is really where the money is.
Yeah. Unless you do some incrementality tests, and like in some cases, we've tested this extensively at Atlassian. Atlassian has a vast portfolio, right? They have brands like Jira, Bitbucket, Confluence, Trello, Loom now, right? A bunch of them. And so back in the days, and this was, my gosh, I was there 2016, 2018, 2019. We did incrementality tests for all of our products. So we turned the ads off and saw how many clicks are now going to organic search results, turned it back on and see if that flips around. And what we saw is, for strong products, there's no, you don't need to advertise. People want to go to Jira, they go to Jira, right? If you are whoever competitor, like a Linear, you're not going to persuade people otherwise when you show ads. But for less strong products, for weaker products like Bitbucket, when GitHub or GitLab was advertising above Bitbucket, people would go away, right? So depends on the product strength, but I think we're not talking about the dark number of money that Google is making just from forcing companies to bid to defend their own brand.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump over to the next topic. There's some great research coming from Lily. I want to really invite you to follow Lily now also on Substack. And this made quite some rounds here, and deservedly, because it's really good research here, because she's asking, is Google finally cracking down on self-promotional listicles? So this is something which actually works right now and works really well, or used to work really well. And we always said that, but again, I also had with customers who were like proposing doing something like this, where I was like, be careful. It's like, like the white font on white background kind of thing 25 years ago, right? Which also worked for a short while, but then it didn't work anymore. And this is just it. Why spend so much time on doing something shady, or in the sense of like, this is not really something useful for your site, your customers, for anyone. This is really just trying to influence a machine, basically, or a machine output. So rather use the time to do something worthwhile, which will, maybe have a longer lasting effect. But nevertheless, always a hard conversation, because it works, it works really well. We saw a comeback of the link sellers and everything, who basically just like repackaged their whole business. And now finally, and I really say finally, because now it really looks like that Google, is a little bit more aggressive now in like identifying this and just killing it. She has a like plethora of examples where she like dives into these sites that lost a lot of visibility, where it's mostly like the blog section. And when she looks at the blog section, it's stuff like this: 18 best dropshipping clothing suppliers, web hosting services, 11 best for small businesses, and others best of kind of articles. And she sees this across the board, right? Obviously also a lot like out of the own category, with obviously you like mixed into this top 10, top 15, whatever list. And this is across the board, always the same thing. What is basically being penalized, what is basically getting torched, and such a great find, and it everywhere, right? And this is, also, I'm now totally convinced this is really happening. And so it's a great find here from Lily. And even crazier, before I ask you what you think about it, is this one here. Because on Lily's tweet, there's this Anthony Higman, who actually has a crazy screenshot, right? He should have like shown the whole answer, but it says the agencies listed above are based on 2026 industry reporting and reputational data, excluding best of lists that often prioritize SEO-driven rankings over actual performance. What? Is this? I combine this, right? I mean, like, obviously, this is something done algorithmically on these sites, but this within AI mode, is this even like a feature of AI mode, or is this what AI mode generated? Is this generated by AI mode, basically, this, or is this like now on Dutch? I couldn't see it live. I think there's no one else reporting like a wording like this on an SEO overview, AI overview, but this is crazy. This is like the next step of fighting this. What do you make out of this? Out of Lily's article as well as this tweet?
Yeah, totally, man. First of all, I think Lily's writing a fantastic Substack. Of course, I subscribed, and I recommend everybody else to do it as well. And I love that she's tracking this. Of course, the first thing that I did when I saw the post in my email was like, oh, I checked my clients, and luckily our listicles are still doing well. But I did a bunch of checks, and I learned about one of the sites that she's looking at. I'm not going to say who it is, but I learned about one of the sites, and listicles are 90% of all the pages that they have on their domain, right? So pretty heavy. Now, what the conclusion that I came to is that, lazy listicles definitely don't work well, right? If you go lazy with AI and you don't put in the extra work, it's not going to help. But if your listicles are based on good research, and there's like effort going into it, then it can still work. I looked, for example, into the affiliate spaces, credit cards, insurances, all that kind of stuff. It's full of affiliates and their listicles, right? And there was not a lot of movement. Same with some e-commerce products, not a lot of movement. B2B SaaS, a lot more movement, right? I think that's where people tend to be a bit lazier, because you can just make something up, the 10 best SEO tools. Let me just, make something up without a basis of data to justify that ranking, right? Mm-hmm. So if you, on the other hand, say, look, we looked at all these software reviews and we asked people and we did objective research, whatever, then I think you're in the clear. So I hope that Google like continues that thread and becomes more critical of listicles. And I think there's still a place where that can work.
But you're basically saying also that this seems like this is really a quantitative issue, right? As you mentioned this one blog, and 90% of it is this kind of listicles. I mean, this is pretty much a no-brainer for Google. But if you have like one listicle on your blog, and I mean, like you say you need a lot of basis for this and talk to people, analyzing, it's still totally legit that I, as a CEO, say this is my personal list of top 10 SEO tools, which is, I think, completely fine, right?
Yes.
But obviously, if 90% of my content is these kind of listicles and what I think is the best hotel management software, I think this is where it gets a little bit murky. But again, also this is, I think, again, not the problem, right? If somebody does that in a quantitative, sensitive manner. But yeah, just blatant spam is just way too much. But what do you make out of this basically below the AI overview, what we see here?
Man, it's interesting. It's curious. To your point, I'd be, I would want to see more of what the rest of the search results look like, what the query was, etc. There was a comment from Barry Schwartz when you scroll a little bit down, where he says that this was part of where he asked, like, was this something that the AIO added? So I hope he can figure this out. But it's curious, man. It's curious. Again, I'd be very curious what the query was, because maybe this was a query about, maybe, I don't know, SEO companies, or maybe the context was already SEO. So, but man, if Google would judge, certain topics a certain way, that means you would need to unoptimize your stuff probably. I don't know how you do that. I only know how to optimize.
Yeah, me neither. We got a comment here from Roman Adamita. Yes, Roman Adamita. It's great to see you both. It's great to see you, Roman. Would love to know your thoughts on whether web stories will be a thing that AIO, AIM, GPT loves to cite or show in the results in the future. Good question. Web stories.
Yeah, web stories have kind of, for me, they had like a moment where it could have been a lot of fun, and then it dried out a little bit. But when it comes to news in general, right? Like, I think that is LLM crack, right? Like, that's the freshest content you can possibly have is news content. And so,
and also like not just like text, this is also like images, video, like all mixed together and set. I mean, a super attractive format. I think for people, more like a multimedia kind of approach. And I think the great thing about web stories is you could also see Google basically creating a personalized web story for you, out of the content. I mean, like, it always depends, like, how do you make up the content, right? But we talked about this, with the UX designer, the Stitch, stuff like this. They can create like personalized SERP layout, just like specific for your question, right? And this could, in the next instance, be like a personalized web story, basically, which tells me what I want to know. I want to know like everything that happened yesterday at the Winter Olympics. And then I get like a 1 minute web story kind of thing with images, videos mixed together, obviously also text, which is like for me to let me know what happened in the Winter Olympics. As just spitballing, I could totally see this happening. It's a great formula for the people and for the LLMs.
It is absolutely. And I think that Google has taken it, like, I think they're intentionally passive on including more news content from publishers, because they know how bad it is. But to be also fair, right? Like, I think when it comes to news, that's when Google knows people are actually going to Google News, and there's less AI in there for now. But man, how long is it going to take until Gemini or whatever in the Google ecosystem gives you a daily update based on news and then pulls from news, right? So this is just I think it's just a thing waiting to happen, and maybe Google just intentionally is a bit slower to not kill publishers right away.
Do not kill them right away. Right away.
Let them bleed.
Okay, thanks for the question, Roman. This was really great. Okay, moving on. I have this here from SEO ranking. Review platforms lost 90% of traffic over the past 2 years, yet they top AI overview citations for commercial queries. I mean, like, obviously you have a history. You work for G2, and this is quite crazy. Yeah, that they lost 90% of their traffic. They're not really getting any organic traffic, but in 1/3 of the AI overviews, you see one of these platforms, and it's really just like only the big ones, right? As it's this Gartner Peer Insights, G2, Capterra, Software Advice, and Trust Radius, and this is like 88% of all review platform links. So it's not really the smaller ones; it's the big ones. And obviously, it gets even better, you know, if you really ask for like ratings and stuff like this. But I mean, on the one hand, I mean, like, you worked at G2, so how do you think this is received? On the one hand, it's we lost too much traffic. On the one hand, is a yay, you know, we're like one of the big AI brands, whatever they can make with that. So what do you think is the general like mood over at your old workplace?
Yeah, I have to say, G2 is one of my current clients, so I am very involved with them right now. They just acquired Capterra and a bunch of other sites, and
Great move, by the way.
yeah, that was a very interesting thing. I spent a lot of time over the last 6 months on that deal, on the due diligence, so it was very interesting. And of course, we also looked at the AI, you know, visibility as a part of that deal. It was a big criteria. It was a very big criteria. And so, you know, it's interesting because software companies really care about that. Every year, G2 does a survey of 1,000 decision makers across different software companies, and tries to understand basically how do they make software decisions. And this year, for the first time, I mean 2025, not 26, 2025, for the first time, more than 50 people said that they start their software research on AI, on LLMs, rather than Google. So that shows a little bit how important AI as a whole is when it comes to making software decisions. And so I think this is actually quite important to be part of the AI answer. It really seems to have an impact on how people buy software. And all the AI, all the review platforms are looking at that and are caring about it. It's interesting. Google weighs, you know, some sources differently than ChatGPT, than Perplexity, etc. So there's a lot of nuance here, but yeah, you know, Google took away the traffic. I do not know why, but there was a moment in time in 2024 when Google decided that all B2B programmatic websites are not good anymore. And it was not just G2 and Capterra and all of these sites. It was Crunchbase, ZoomInfo, Upwork, job platforms. It's like, you know, Google is on a crusade there, and I do not understand why. But in AI, it's a different situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for the insights. By the way, Test ABC 123-100 is asking, what are your thoughts on getting visibility for brands in JHDP? 6 months back, it was possible to get mentions, but finding it harder across clients to get mentions. I mean, like, it's like just like backlinks back in the days, right? I mean, it's always been hard, but that's the craft to get good mentions. But you know, without much, also like dwelling too much on this topic, because obviously this is quite an extensive topic. Do you have a thought for Test ABC 123-100?
Yeah, I think it's still possible. And obviously, like, new models are coming out all the time, right? And that changes and shuffles the cards. So theoretically, with every new model, you have a new core update, right? If you look at ChatGPT, that means you need to reevaluate where you're cited and where you mentioned. What I found is that, you know, generally, the more citations you own for a certain topic, the more you can influence who and what gets mentioned, right? And it's not always easy. So I think it's still possible. I think these systems are changing their tastes and preferences over time. But what I would do is whenever a new model comes out and you see that you lost mentions or citations, is same thing as in Google. See who replaced you, see what they did differently, reverse engineer what they have done or why they might be a better source, and then develop a plan of attack.
Awesome. Okay, next up, I wanted to go to your article here. GC data is 75% incomplete, which, by the way, I hated so much because I mean, like, I was so deep into GC. I love GC, and obviously, I also see what's going on with GC right now. It's a great article, but actually, I want to jump to something else because this is like just from the conversation we just had. Cyrus had this, I think, awesome. What is it? A survey, so to speak. You can pick one. What do you choose? Ranking number one in traditional results, first citation in AI overviews, or the brand website is included in an AI answer. Before I scroll to the results, what's your take?
Oh, man, this is such a tough one, but I think I would go for number 3. Is I want to be included in the answer.
Yes, as a ranking number one in the traditional result.
No, included in the answer. I want to be included in the answer, in the AI answer.
Okay.
But look, like it's difficult because it depends, right?
It depends. Oh, that's true. Wow.
Guess what my job is, Marcus? Guess how I earn my money? It depends. $1,000. No, just kidding. But it depends on, like, what the context and intent is. If it's more about purchasing and stuff, then I want to be in the organic search results. If it's more about learning and awareness, I want to be part of the AI answer.
Good. And there's a follow-up, actually. There's here Juris Digital. They actually picked up this survey and did a quick analysis, basically, to see how many clicks you're actually getting. And here, look at this. The most clicks, traditional organic result. So the number one result, my choice. And even if a heat map, and that's quite interesting because you can really see this is really the most focus here. I mean, like, obviously this can also depend heavily on what you're asking, how the results look like and that kind of stuff. No results are really like the same, but this is still a good indication to see, like, the number one result still has some mileage in it, still has a good punch, especially compared to what we see otherwise. So yeah, great research, really interesting. And it's even a qualitative study, so they even ask, why did you click here, or why did you click on this link? Why didn't you click on this link? This is super interesting. So I would go for ranking number one, like most of the people. You didn't. It's okay. There's good SEOs and there's not so good SEOs.
There's visible results and invisible results.
But yeah, I love this. This is so great. Such great, obviously also very engaging. Very good. Well done. Another thing which caught my eye this week, amazing research, is coming from Olivier here from Resoneo. This is the guy that, like, they're always like reverse engineering JetGDP. I already showed you this. And yeah, now they basically release all their findings from, as he said, like months of reverse engineering JetGDP. And by the way, this is the article, great article, dives into very extensively into all these different factors. But I think this is a good overview of what you can actually expect. So first of all, there's like a query classification. So before any search, your prompt is classified. So you put in the prompt and it will immediately say, like, oh, this is like a request for the weather, this is a request for a sport team or whatever, because there's likely going to be a different smaller model answering that question. You don't always need like the biggest, most robust model. Sometimes with easy questions, when did Martin Luther King die or something like this, really, you don't really need that. So obviously that makes a lot of sense. Google is everywhere. This is also very fun. Despite a neutral UI and zero attribution, Google powers most modules: search results, shopping carousels, local maps, product data. JetGDP scrapes what Google doesn't license. So this is still a very big thing for them. They scrape a lot what they can license. There's the role of SERP API. I think we talked about this before. There's also a very interesting Getty Images deal. Labrador, that's what it's called, appears everywhere in the code. License images with grader scores. So really like a quiet partnership nobody talks about, but really interesting, right? You see this baked in. Nobody really saw this. But obviously, I mean, Getty Images is very behind, like looking where the images are floating around the internet. There's this 3-layer fan-out architecture. So GTP does make one search, it triggers parallel queries across multiple providers, and then applies RRF ranking to merge results. Very interesting. There's hidden links. Some URLs are retrieved by the model, but never shown to users, marked as ref type. There's ref type academia, there's Wikipedia, Oxford Dictionary. And this is interesting. They just put that in the answer, but I don't cite it, right? I mean, like crazy, even for Wikipedia, right? Whatever. And I love this one. One of my favorite books, Daniel Kahneman, rest in peace. One of the best books I've ever read. And this is baked in the system prompt. The shopping module explicitly references thinking fast and slow to guide product recommendations. Yes, really. Holy shit. This is awesome. But obviously, it makes so much sense. Again, one of the greatest books. If you haven't read it, you have to read it. This is really, it's just mind-blowing. Sidebar prompt, entity taxonomy. And here, the bigger picture, ChatGPT isn't a search engine, it's an orchestrator. Google gives you 10 blue links and says, figure it out. ChatGPT queries multiple providers, scores results, ranking cross layers, synthesizes an answer. It doesn't compete with Google, it depends on Google. Also, I don't think the ChatGPT guys love to see this or read this, but it's true. And again, you can dive into this, and it's crazy good research. It's so great. So I can't thank Olivier and his team enough for doing this. This is just great foundational research work into how ChatGPT works. And yeah, as I said, it's not flattering for them. Not really. What do you say about this study? Is there something that caught your eye which I didn't mention?
I think, look, like the fact that there's a Daniel Kahneman system prompt or part of the system prompt, that's cool. That's awesome. That makes sense. I love it too. Some of these things are just funny, like the Getty Images deal or Labrador, as they call it. But I think what like really is important here is this whole part about the fan-out architecture. So, I think that's the biggest sign that ChatGPT is not a search engine. It's more the orchestrator where it goes through like really like all of these different ways to frame a search, and to then collect a holistic picture or formalistic picture of what the best answer is. And it does it in rapid speed, right? It's still stunning to me how fast these LLMs have become, right? There was a time when Google showed how fast they compiled the search results. Gosh, like that's nothing against ChatGPT, right? 10 search results, everybody can do that in under a millisecond now or whatever it is. But like 3 layers of query fan out with all the other stuff in such a fast time, it's nothing but stunning. But it also goes to show how we need to think about optimizing for a system like ChatGPT, right? It's very probabilistic. It reaches into very far different spaces, which, like I keep repeating this, right? But like you need to think about what unique facts or unique points can you contribute to a topic for ChatGPT to even, acknowledge you as part of the answer. And then we also see here how like hidden links, I think there are probably a lot more hidden links than just these bigger sites, but a lot of the content that is being used for the answer is never cited or is never mentioned, right? So we should not forget all these, like, I don't know what to call it, like ghost citations or invisible citations, but a lot of content is used for an answer that will never get an attribution.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. And lastly, I have this awesome article here from our good friend Lono. And this is just so much, it's so true, it's poetic. A page is more than just a container for words. So it goes into this, the latest SEO fad, right? That you basically, we're going back to this is my site, and I make a machine readable site, a a site, a mirror of my site only for LLMs. Also, there's like a myriad of different concepts. I love the grounding page concept from our good friend Hans here, as I think this is still the most sound. And also, again, I see it in the SERPs, it works. Also, it's not very intrusive. It makes so much sense. So this is like my favorite concept right now. But again, there's so many different concepts out there. Some are even cloaking their site and stuff like this. So there's like really a lot of different things. Obviously, like everybody tries to find like the new standard, so to speak, right? Obviously, this is what everybody's searching for. And Jono has a very distinct opinion here that, well, this is like really going the wrong way. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously we get it, that it's like, okay, it's not like your site might not be perfect for LLMs or not for them to consume your content and attribute it and stuff like this. Also bloated, and so why don't we just like a lightweight version just for the LLM? But that's it. The conclusion is backwards. Yeah. And as he said, a page is not just a container for a word. It's an editorial artifact. It has hierarchy, emphasis, framing, and intent baked into it. What comes first matters. What's prominent matters. What's tucked away in a sidebar or a footnote matters. These things are not decorative flourishes for humans. They are signals about meaning. Bam! Yeah? When you flatten a page into a markdown, you don't just remove clutter, you remove judgment and you remove context. Bam! These words so bad, it's so good. Also Jono is like really he needs a weapon, like Waffenschein,
a license to carry,
license to say these words. Yeah. No, but really it is so great. Yeah. And let me jump to the back here. Also there isn't going to be one version for the web for humans and another for machines. The systems that will always converge on the human-facing reality because it's the cheapest thing to fetch, the easiest thing to validate, and the richest source of meaning. If you want to be understood by whatever comes next, don't build shadows and side channels. A page is not just a container for words. Make your site the best version of your site. And I love this, how he says that, right? Because this is exactly true. We're basically saying, oh, we have the bloated site, now we need this. No, you can still make a great site. You can still make it fast. You can structure it correctly. You can do all that stuff, just like the good old basics we've been preaching for centuries now. These as a principle still apply. You don't have to go down this road. And so I love what he's saying here. Don't try to find new technology to make it better, to make a bloated website, like less sucky in the age of LLM. No. Now is the time to finally do it. And this can be also a competitive advantage for you because a lot of other people are searching for turnarounds, but fixing your shit, this is really the way to go. So I love this, how he said it. And this really like resonated a lot with me, although I know obviously how hard it is, but nevertheless, I mean, like clicks don't come easy, don't come for free. You got to work hard for it. So yeah, do it on your own site.
Yeah, at the end of the day, a human, like, your goal should still be to bring humans to your site, right? And then present yourself the best way possible. I also agree with Jono that the more you optimize for AI, the more control you give away. Exactly of what I said before, because AI will look at all the content it can find. When I say AI, I mean LLMs and chatbots broadly. It looks at all the content it can find and it forms an answer. And some of that gets credited, but not all of it, right? And so I don't say you should opt out of the game. I think you have to play the game as good as you can, but you can play it with dignity or you can play it in a lazy way, right? And I think playing with dignity means you still like embrace the fact that people still go to websites, at least for now, and there's a battle to be won or to be lost here. And you can do both well. You don't have to pick, right? But that also means don't just pick one. Do both.
Do both and do it correctly. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Again, I want to encourage you guys to read your article. GC data is 75% incomplete. Again, I hated it, but it's a great article. Great insight there. Yeah, again, I love GC data so much, so I hate when people talk shit about it. But yes, but I know this is not the reason why I left it out. I thought
that's fine. It's fine. It's okay, Marcus. It's okay.
Read all about it. It's definitely worth it. Great article again, as always, on Growth Memo, which you should follow anyway. Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Joma, to Test ABC 123 100, Roman, Definer Brands, Hans, everybody else who was watching and lurking and maybe not posting a comment, but we love you all. So it was great fun. Thanks so much, Kevin. We're going to see each other again next week, next Friday. And again, I think there's a lot of stuff happening again until next Friday. So tune in. It's all good. Good. Next Friday. And if you speak German, you can also join us for the Daily Dose of SEO on Monday together with Johann von Hülsen. But again, you need to speak German. Roman, it was great to see you. Likewise. Thanks for joining. See you next week. See you next week, Kevin. And now we temporarily redirect you from work to the weekend. Have a great weekend. Happy optimization. Take care.
You have a great weekend as well, Marcus. Great job as always. I'll see you next week. And don't talk shit about Google Search Console.
Oh, by the way, there's also someone else. Motocross Digital. Thank you, Sasha. Sasha, thanks for joining. Great. Keep on waiting.